In English, you can have an accent, but you cannot have a bad pronunciation. Good day everyone, I'm Pat Diaz and welcome to Understanding English Pronunciation. Today we are going to talk about your accent as an English language learner. Okay, let's begin. When somebody speaks to you in English, you, as an English learner, can probably understand them easily. That's because you have already trained your ear and your brain to listen to the pronunciation patterns used by different English speakers. Now, when you try to speak to them, as we saw in our last video, they cannot understand what you are saying despite using correct grammar and vocabulary. And you think, well, it could be my accent. Well, let me tell you, it's probably not your accent, but it's because your pronunciation is too different or far from theirs. Imagine you invite your new girlfriend for breakfast to a fancy Italian restaurant. Il ristorante italiano. So the waiter greets you by saying, "Good della morning, good della morning." And you're gonna be like, wait, what? In my view, if I go to an Italian restaurant, it is a plus if the waiter speaks with an Italian accent. It's cool. But it's also true that I have to be able to understand what he says so I can order my food. In this case, we can say that the waiter has a strong accent and a bad pronunciation. However, if the waiter comes and tells you, "Good morning," also with an Italian accent, we can say that he has an accent or even a strong accent, but with a good pronunciation. Therefore, we are going to say here that the accent belongs to the speaker, but pronunciation belongs to the language. Again, the accent belongs to the speaker, but pronunciation belongs to the language. Let me explain it. Accent belongs to the speaker because it shows the speaker's origin, such as country or area where he or she lives, his or her social class, and even their educational level. On the other hand, pronunciation, as you should know this already from our first video, tells you how individual sounds, syllables, words, phrases, and sentences are pronounced in English. For instance, English tells you that the word China is a two-syllable word with a stress on the first syllable. So you can hear English speakers saying, for example, in an American accent, China, China, or in an Australian accent, China, China. But you will never hear anybody saying China, because that is not English. However, there is a certain relation between accent and pronunciation. Normally, a person with a strong accent has a bad pronunciation. Opposite to this, if one has a soft or non-accent, one has a good pronunciation. But it is not always the case, as we will see later. Let's listen to the next examples. But before, let me remind you what a good pronunciation is. So, a good pronunciation is understandable and clear. This is intelligible. Number 2, a good pronunciation makes the intended meaning. It is comprehensible. And number 3, a good pronunciation is fluent and easy to hear. It is pleasant. Okay, let's go to the examples, keeping in mind what a good pronunciation is. Number 1.
We can choose to walk through it, dragging our prejudice and hatred and avarice, our data banks, We can choose to go through it, dragging our data banks, okay? Data banks. Our dead river and smoky skies, or we can walk through it lightly with little luggage, okay?
Well, this is a French speaker. Now, is his pronunciation intelligible? Is it clear to be understood? Well, this one, no. Number 2, is his pronunciation comprehensible, so it makes sense? No. And number 3, is his pronunciation pleasant to hear? Well, not that much, so also no. So in this case, this speaker has a strong accent and a bad pronunciation. Okay, example number 2.
Today, the producers have asked me to bring in some ingredients from home so I can show off my own very favorite recipes. Let's start with breakfast, and there's no better way to kickstart the day than with a spiced pear bread pudding coated in a red wine glaze.
Well, this is an Asian speaker. Now, is her pronunciation intelligible? Is it clear to be understood? Well, yes, absolutely. Number 2, is her pronunciation comprehensible, so it makes sense? Well, of course. And number 3, is her pronunciation pleasant to hear? Yes, it is. So in this case, this speaker has a soft accent and an excellent pronunciation. Let's listen to the next one.
Okay, you got your most favorite people here watching you.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit of beef, the girls' favorite, the chicken satay skewers. Sunrise, we're gonna make some burritos, a little bit of halloumi, and some veggies. Always use the oil in the hot plate as a thin layer to just don't burn things. Can you feel the heat is not so hot?
Yeah.
In the barbecue, you go smoky hot.
Yes.
You burn the outside, you burn the marinade,
Yes.
you don't cook in the middle.
Well, this is a Spanish speaker. Now, is his pronunciation intelligible? Is it clear to be understood? Well, yes, it is clear. Number 2, is his pronunciation comprehensible, so it makes sense? Well, of course it makes sense. And number 3, is his pronunciation pleasant to hear? In my opinion, yes, it is. So this speaker has a strong accent and a very good pronunciation. So, as we can see in these examples, accent is not the main problem when speaking in English. It is pronunciation. So, my recommendation to you is, don't worry about your accent, but improve your pronunciation. This, in time, will make your accent softer and your pronunciation more intelligible, comprehensible, and pleasant to hear. So, still, why do you have an accent? And why it is so difficult for you to improve your pronunciation? Well, we are going to see how accent works and what you need to know as the basis to improve your pronunciation in our next video. Okay, that's all for today. See you next time. Bye for now.